Hey guys, welcome back to our live coverage here at Chaos TV of the EOS Challenger Series number 15, day 2 of 3, SK Gaming versus Dignitas UK. I'm hoping, and I'm sure the spectators are hoping as well, for a bit of a closer match here from Dignitas UK, as that first one went very one-sided in the end to SK Gaming. Regardless though, I am Edis, joined by Pulse, and apparently we're into the picks and bans, although I actually can't see it on the stream.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait another couple of seconds to make sure. There we go, now we're into the chance to select picks and bans. We will be slightly behind you guys for the duration of champion picks and bans until we get into the game, because we are spectating over stream. And at least my stream, that doesn't look right.
Well, you know, this is typical. As soon as we go live, my stream decides to crash. So I had to refresh it. Oh, okay, I'm back now. I'm back. All I can see is Shyvana and Kassadin bans. If you are curious, guys, there are only 2 spectator slots on a live client. Both of them are being used right now from our producer and Millennium's producer as well. So, therefore, we have to cast this part of the game over picks and bans by the stream, and then as soon as we get into the loading screen, we can spectate from friends. Renekton and Nidalee also banned out. Not too surprising that Nidalee's going to get banned.
Yeah, not at all. And Kassadin was banned up for the first game, so was Shyvana, and so was Renekton. So fairly standard thus far, and we'll see what slips through the cracks as we get to the end of the banning phase. But Nidalee indeed was didn't really help their loss last game. I don't think it was one of the major factors, but it certainly didn't help Messes. I think one of the major factors was the fact that Riven was level 1 at like 5 minutes in, so I don't think that helped at all.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of putting it. That Nitrix got neutralized is certainly one way of saying. Just completely crushed from Svenskaren's camping at top, and they pushed as a unit, took the 2 top towers very quickly, and as you said, was level 1 up until around the 5-minute mark without any CS at all. So it was really brutal from Nitrix. So what I am quite curious to see now, Pulse, will they rinse and repeat with the Riven pick? Will they go for lane switch-ups? Lots of things to think about here.
Yeah, after the start, I mean, Riven isn't typically a terrible champion in a 1 vs 2. She's probably the best champion at CSing underneath turret, especially if she can get a few levels under her belt, but that just didn't happen at all, because they zoned her away from turret, Riven was forced to farm in the jungle, and then got killed. So that was never able to happen. I don't think Riven is necessarily a bad pickup, especially when you're in a 1 vs 2, or you expect them to go for a 1 vs 2. Cogmore being banned out, that's interesting.
I have absolutely no idea why Cogmore's been banned, because as far as I'm aware, it's not one of the ex-Alchemist's go-to champions in mid as AP, and I'm fairly confident that I've never actually seen Samwise using Cogmore. So that's pretty interesting to say the least, Pulse.
Yeah, indeed. We don't really see that much Cogmore in the EU scene. I mean, Lucian's starting to come into it as an AD carry, but definitely not Cogmore. We used to see it a little in the Korean scene because of the pushing ability of Cogmore in the same way that Caitlyn does, and she was often banned out. But Freddy picking up the Lee Sin, and they're bringing in Lucian once again. Again, it's very difficult to judge what went well and what went badly for SK, because they snowballed the game so hard. So it'll be interesting to see what Lucian does in the 2 vs 2 lane, but depending on how the lanes go, we might see another swap up.
We certainly could, because last time around Candy Panda and Nif, if you have just joined us, went top lane against Riven and absolutely crushed it. So they could be rinsing and repeating here. If the ex-Alchemist locks that Orianna in, obviously you guys watching may have already seen this, but if he does, that is one of his go-to champions, Pulse. He's exceptionally strong on this character, so it's like they're bringing out the big guns for game number 2.
Yeah, Orianna was in fact banned last game, so was Gragas. So this time it has slipped through, and Elise will be picked up. Could be in the jungle, but we've also seen her in the top lane in recent days. But now with Jax being brought out, again, Elise could go in the mid lane, but most likely in the jungle. Very, very strong when it comes to duel situations against most junglers. Means that Elise can essentially go for a gank and know that if the enemy jungler shows up, she can go 1 vs 1, or she can go for jungle invasion and still win in pretty much any jungler matchup. So, especially against Lee Sin. Lee Sin is generally one of the junglers you would say is super good at 1 vs 1s, but Elise still beats even Lee Sin.
True, but last game around, Svenskaren's Lee Sin was scarily good. So it looks like they're just going back to that comfort pick. Interestingly enough, this time around they're not going to be going for the Thresh Lucian lane. Instead, they're going to be bringing in the Sona. So lots more engage on the cards for the Crescendo, plus the Nasus as well is absolutely terrifying. Of course, Nasus could be played in jungle. I'm expecting it to see it at top though.
Yeah, Sona gives more opportunities for disengage, and will make the team just generally more mobile, whereas if they had picked Fresh up along with Nasus, it's basically you have to go in and you have no way of escaping after that, because everything is melee range, everything is very all-in. Depending on the last pickup as well, they might go for, again, another all-in champion, but they need an out, basically, metas. Zyra is still available, and this mid lane has not been picked up, so I might even see a Zyra being picked up. I would like that in this composition.
Well, they're saying nope, trick tester, because it's going to be Fiddlesticks. But still, okay. Fiddlesticks is pretty damn good with Caitlyn. I'm assuming its Fiddle can be played in jungle. We have in the past seen Elise at support, but honestly, I'm expecting to see Elise jungle here.
Yeah, indeed. And I was saying Zyra in the form of, or rather should be on the SK team, but we'll see what happens in the next couple seconds. So, at the moment, I think I'm actually behind you on stream, which is not that helpful, but yeah, Caitlyn Fiddlesticks, I'm actually going to pass that over to you. How do you think that matchup works? Because you mentioned before, Messers, that Lucian is very good in trading situations, but he's definitely a lot shorter range than Caitlyn, and Fiddlesticks will make it very difficult for him to get near, and indeed Sona. So how do you think this matchup's going to go if the duo lanes do face up against each other?
I feel like it's very even in terms of the fact that Sona is one, if not the best support against Caitlyn, because she can harass back and poke back with the power chords, with the Q as well, the Hymn of Valor, and she can also heal consistently to Lucian. So Caitlyn is not going to have an easy time of this lane. But that being said, we've said this before, if Fiddlesticks can be very aggressive, have a lot of presence in lane, and fear Candy Panda at the right times, they can outtrade the combo of Candy Panda Nif at bot lane. It's going to come down to that keyword, Pulse, execution. How can they pull it off? We could very well see, however, SK Gaming going for a 1 versus 2 lane switch up again. Nasus does pretty well in those situations.
Yes, indeed, but we will be jumping to, once again, another quick commercial break, and when we get back, we'll be in the second game with Dignitas UK and SK Gaming. We'll see you very shortly. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EUS Challenge Series number 15 with the second game of this best of 3 with Dignitas UK and SK Gaming. I'm Pulse and I'm joined by Metas. How's it going, man?
It's going good. I'm hopeful that Dignitas UK, with the champions they've picked this time around, are going to bring a closer game. In fact, right off the get-go, we could have some engages kicking off as Counter-Strike has been used from Jax Svenskeren, flashing up very low, forced to flash away instantly. And that's not going to be on the card. So lots of less amounts of presence going to be coming out from Svenskeren, who was incredibly aggressive in game number 1.
Yeah, indeed. Nitrix takes some hits, but it's not enough to force him back. Nif puts down the defensive ward, and in fact they clear it with the pink of their own. So Dignitas looking to be very aggressive, pick up this early game advantage. Pink comes down into the mid lane. SK might very well look for their own buff steal. In fact, SK Nif takes the opportunity to ward up as much of the enemy jungle as possible to get that early game information. In fact, Dignitas are backing on off, even with the knowledge that Svenskeren was forced back to base.
So, do you feel that the flash being gone from Svenskeren, who's playing Lee Sin, is a massive change of events in this game, Pulse? Or is Lee Sin one of those junglers that can pretty much by and large do fine without it?
Lee Sin is very maneuverable. It's not going to hurt him as much as other junglers, especially if he gets like an early kill or starts following up early. He can start to get like a sight stone, and that won't hurt his maneuverability compared to someone like Vi, for example. Because if Vi loses her early flash, that loses so many early game opportunities. It means she can't counter jungle without having that flash, and plus she can chain it into Vault Breaker. Whereas Lee Sin, he can just use Safeguard, or he can use Q to a minion, especially in the jungle. Very easy to get about.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of Svenskeren, he's going to be starting on his blue buff, and on the flip side, Impaler starting on his blue as well. So this time around, again, we are going to have the lane switch ups. This time, though, actually instigated from Dignitas UK, so sending Yero and Samwise to top to face off against Freddy.
That's interesting. This time, they're running the Jax, and Nif also tries to push forward as fast as possible, not knowing that Nitrix is in the brush, but I'm not really sure he can go toe-to-toe, especially if Candy Panda gets involved. I've got to probably think about this lane matchup that Dignitas have instigated, because I'm not even sure if it works out for them. They're looking obviously to punish down Freddy in the top lane, and then also have the early game aggression from Fiddlesticks, means they can pick away this red buff, but in turn, Svenskeren has done the same thing, even without the assistance from Nif. So this is really weird, because Freddy should be able to farm underneath the turret already, more damage coming out, but in the bot lane, Nitrix will not have a good time 1 versus 2, he'll do worse than Nasus.
Indeed, and if you have a look at the ward coverage as well from Dignitas, they knew that it's not even the case that they were trying to read and mind game over SK Gaming, who they thought may actually go for the lane switch up as well. They have so many wards in the jungle, and indeed also a ward that could spot the laning movement as well. They knew that the double lane, the dual lane for SK Gaming was going to bot, so they're happy with this exchange. That being said though, Svenskeren is doing the exact same thing as game number 1, whereby he's going to camp this bot lane, try and get an early kill. Ignite's been used from Nitrix, counter-striking onto Svenskeren. Can they pick up some kills off the back of this though, as Nitrix is trying his best to survive? Looks like he's gonna get the kill on Candy Panda. In fact, it was an execution from the turret, and Nitrix still stands tall and proud at this bot lane. Svenskeren's coming back round again, constant harassment from Nif. It looks like he's actually managed to get past this early engage from SK Gaming. My goodness.
Yeah, and now I could start to understand why they went for the lane swap up, because they realized that this was going to happen one way or another, and by picking the Jax, he's a lot harder to die than any other champion compared to Nasus, and that's what we saw last game. That's one of the reasons why Ribbon got dove and Jax didn't. They've done that this time, top tower falls, and now we have a complete role reversal and a carbon copy of the first game. This is exactly what happened, but in favour of SK Gaming. However, Freddy in much better shape than the Ribbon was.
Nitrix is pulling off some slick moves right now, just jumping onto minions to get rid of Nif and Svenskeren. He is still somehow, some way alive at this bot lane, but with Candy Panda joining the fray, maybe thinking about pulling himself back and recalling. Indeed he will, but the early damage has been done. As you said, Pulse, top tower, that first blood in objectives going into the hands of Dignitas UK.
Yeah, they recalled Elise very quickly, so she'll try and defend the bottom turret. Svenskeren is very low, but they could probably still dive Impaler. Like, Impaler's very difficult to beat a Dove, especially because he's got Repel, he's got CC on demand, but he's still got to be very careful. Bottom tower falls, and this is different from the first game. This time they've gotten the tower in return, and arguably for the early game, bottom tower is a lot more valuable because of the Dragon control.
And also important to mention, on top of everything else, is that with that tower dive, Candy Panda used both of his summoner spells, Flash and Cleanse, and Nif used Ignite. So not only did they not get the kill, and did Candy Panda die, but they burnt 3 crucial summoner spells. So just overall, you know, it's not just a case, oh, we didn't get the kill. There's so many more factors onto why that simply was a pretty poor play from SK Gaming.
This is very bold from Dignitas. They realise that they don't have the Sanctuary of the turret. The first blood, in fact, gets picked up in the mid lane. But back to the Dragon. They've gone for this first. They're taking a lot of damage. This is very early on. Yes, Elise can do it, but SK are already here to pressure.
They are terrified coming out from Yero. Is there enough damage, though, from SK Gaming to pick this up? Flash through from Yero. He will be able to survive. Beautiful shockwave from Oriana, pulling back both Candy Panda and Svenskeren. They pick up the first kill in this brawl and get the Dragon on top of it with 2 players extremely close to death. But it pays out nicely for them, Pulse.
Yeah, that was a very, very good call, and they realised where the players were so they could assist if it came to that, and it did indeed. Elise went down to 7 HP, which was very, very tight, but SK Gaming, like, you just assumed from that situation they would have been able to interrupt, but the fact that they had Elise, they had the right champion to be able to do it, it was just a good call and a good read of the situation, putting Dignitas even further ahead.
Man, oh man. Impaler, one of the good points about having a stream is that I can watch back some of the fights. Elise was so close to dying. That was like 5 hit points, Pulse.
Yeah, it was 7 HP, so yeah, I mean, some might call it luck, others might call it calculated, but either way, Dignitas are still 2-0, a strong gold advantage, 1.7k, towers are even, but now that objective is off the board, SK can't use the incredibly good skirmishing teamfight with Syndra, and also Alchemist did incredibly well. Like, he landed the shockwave onto 2 people, and before the rest of the team could respawn, they had basically killed the threat.
I have to say though, even though Nitrix did very nice at bot lane not to fall down and die, he's pretty far behind in terms of CS here, Pulse. 8-31 currently the top lane is the solo laners, I guess I should say, in terms of this game. So Freddy comes out ahead in that way, but the Dragon plus the first blood onto Dignitas UK is definitely going to put them in a nice position.
Yeah, it's going to more than make up for it, but that's still going to be scary. Like, in terms of the late game, you look at Nasus and then you look at Jax. Jax is incredibly strong if he can just literally just stay in that top lane and push all day, but with the bottom tower falling, like, there's nowhere for Dignitas to run, and in fact, Impaler looking to steal this one away, Freddy wards it on up, and it looks like we could have a 2 versus 2 trade, but Syndra is completely separated, and they steal it away pretty easily.
Yeah, they do finally get that red buff, and Paler's going to be going back towards his own jungle. And with this bot tower being down, Yero and Samwise, you can see they're playing a bit kind of cautious. They don't want to go too far and get caught out of position, so they're going to pick up the double golems, the free XP and gold, and then wait for this lane to push. Smart play, because, you know, you never know where Svenskeren could be here, Pulse. He could very well be lurking around the shadows of bot lane.
Yeah, indeed. Jax is actually starting to catch up on farm a lot faster than I was actually expecting, but they still have to deal with Nasus in some way, and they really can't commit Impaler to the top lane, considering how far SK are pushing in their bottom lane with Candy Panda and Nif. And that's essentially the play that they need to make. They need to exert enough pressure bot lane so that Impaler has to go to the bot himself and try and stop them, even if they can just back off in time, which they're in fact doing. So Nasus can farm top all day, and it forces Nitrix to push more than he really wants to, and then Svenskeren, being an early game ganking jungler, will be able to potentially pick up a kill.
Oh, mid lane Shockwave has landed on Jesus here, instantly pushed back from Scatter the Weak. Cocoon comes in, max range Cocoon lands, that will transition into a kill. 4 at least beautiful skill shots landing from Dignitas UK. Jez is dead for the second time in this game.
Yeah, indeed, and Jax is starting to be aggressive in the top jungle. Lots of vision control from Dignitas makes it very difficult for SK to control their own jungle at the moment, especially when you have that Elise versus Lee Sin matchup. Now the mid tower is being pushed in, not sure if they can take it all the way, especially with these two people defending, but their wave clear isn't that good.
It's not. This is going to be difficult for them to push back, and honestly, there's not really anything they can do. Svenskeren and Nif, there's going to be pummeled down from Nitrix, Alchemist, and Impaler, so they are going to back away. Meanwhile, at bot lane, Lucian's all by himself with the support of Nif going to mid, and this could allow Samwise and Yero to pick up yet another tower. This would be the third if they take it down. Svenskeren has got himself caught out of position from Impaler, but safeguards back to Nif and we'll be just fine.
However, that's all he needed to do. Impaler is well aware he just needs to stop the rotation so they can pick up the bottom turret, and now Lucian is out of place. If they can push further in, which they're not going to be able to do as they're quite outnumbered, and they're not able to make that happen, but still another tower picked up, and that brings that to 3-1 in favour of Dignitas.
Yeah, and you can see how that affects the gold standings. Just over 4,000 gold advantage for Dignitas UK. Complete role reversal, I have to say, Pulse, from the first game. And we were wondering in the break, could Dignitas UK bring it back? Well, they're answering in the best possible way. A resounding yes.
Yeah, indeed, and they're doing everything right. And honestly, we said this last game, so they didn't do anything wrong. It was just unfortunate that Riven fell behind so badly early, and now Alchemist find themselves Svenskeren, who hasn't had the most amazing game thus far, especially if he gets caught in his jungle once again. And this is allowing Impaler to run rampant and do whatever he likes. Svenskeren, this is not the spot you want to be in, as he just cycles around the side. Nasa's looking to come down, though. We might see a jungle fight opening up.
It's always impressive to me when players bounce back, because game number 1, Svenskeren was by far the dominant jungler, was making plays at top, really crushing Nitrix away. Cocoon comes out, won't be landing on Freddy. Oh, Shockwave though will be, and Freddy gets chunked down so low, forced to flash away. Dragon's Rage from Svenskeren knocking back DX Alchemist, but Yero, right place at the right time. Fury of the Sands comes out, nowhere near enough to keep that Nasus alive. He will be falling.
Yeah, that wasn't the best Dragon's Rage I've seen in the world, where it basically pumped him over the wall so he could follow up with the kill, but at least Lee Sin escaped. I mean, that's what counts, right?
I also thought the same way. I was like, oh, dude, you may have just put Freddy in a pretty bad position, but to be fair, Yero was there anyway, Paul, so regardless of whether the Dragon's Rage was poor or not, he was going down.
Yeah, so Candy Panda can definitely out-trade Samwise. Whether he can keep the chase up is probably another matter. He lands a lot of his ultimate, but he's got to be careful of being collapsed on here. Fiddlesticks will be coming in from the top side, and in fact they just back enough. Dragon is live, and Candy Panda is low enough on both health and mana that he can't really stop them, and he just burnt his ultimate.
Yep, so that is going to be another objective going down to Dignitas UK, unless Nif can pull off the steal of a lifetime. I don't really see it happening, to be fair. Indeed, good luck, and yeah, Dragon will be going down. Nif plants down a ward, so at least they have the timing, though, on when Dragon will be respawning Pulse.
Yeah, indeed, and when you look at SK's team, they have a very strong early game. You have Svenskeren on Lee Sin, and you also have the strong trading lane that is Sona and also Lucian. They didn't do too badly in lane, but being picked up twice because of rotation 0 and 2 right now is not put Lucian in the best of spots. And Caitlyn, correct me if I'm wrong, Meta, scales better into the late game because of her seeding potential and the range and safety she can offer into team fight. Whereas Lucian, yes, he's very strong at trading early mid-game, but likes to also itemize the Triforce, so he's definitely a more mid-game orientated AD carry. They have some security in the form of Nasus, but then you look at the team of Dignitas, who already have a very strong scaling mid laner in the form of Orianna. They have Jax, who snowballs out of control and gets incredibly scary in the late game, and you also have a very strong scaling AD carry.
Yeah, those are all very good points, and what I would say is if you look at the difference in compositions between Dignitas UK and SK Gaming have a couple of characters that can burst down single targets very quickly. I'm talking about Syndra, I'm talking about Lucian as well, but they also do have a good AoE engage and disengage, whereas you look at Dignitas UK, they've got a lot of AoE damage, Counter-Strike, Shockwave, Crowstorm from Fiddlesticks, so if they can get in those close claustrophobic areas and Nif has his cooldown on, not available I should say, I have to say Dignitas UK should come out ahead here because Samwise is an extremely strong Caitlyn player. He knows how to position with this champion.
Yeah, indeed. But, however, it does look like SK do have an out when it comes to teamfights or being engaged on. They have Syndra with Scatter the Weak, which should be enough to push them back, especially with the longer range Crescendo, because they were hovering over Thresh and Champion Stack that we were talking about, and that would have been disastrous. But now in the top lane, they're going blow for blow. They're trading this one out.
They are. Fury of the Sands comes up. Meanwhile, actually in mid, some action as well. But that is going to be Jax getting the upper hand at the top lane. So globally, 2-for-0 trade in Dignitas UK's favour. They may be looking to try and put some harassment down a mid lane. Nif misses the crescendo completely. Svenskeri goes in, gets terrified. Beautiful timing from Yero, and actually signifies his death. Talk about pixel perfect plays from Yero, but still, that crescendo was so important for it to land.
That was the worst it could have gone for SK Gaming, as top tower is being pushed, bottom tower is being pushed, and in the mid lane, they can't hold off this onslaught as they poke away and try and pick up a kill onto Candy Panda. Another tower falls in the top lane, and this is starting to snowball out of control, exactly what we saw in the first game, and the cleanse has been forced from Candy Panda as the Terrify came in.
Yep, absolutely. Again, I can't stress how important that crescendo was. Bot lane, and here comes Syndra looking for that burst damage on Samwise, who will be falling alongside the tower and the ignite, but they do get the tower on top of it, so 5-1, certainly worth it in that case, and they're now looking for this secondary mid tower as well. It's just complete role reversal, Paul. Same situation, completely reversed, but Jez is now being engaged on by Jax. He goes very deep past the tower, tanky enough to escape.
Yeah, indeed, I couldn't agree more. This is a complete role reversal. This is basically exactly what we saw in the first game. Advantages being picked up all over the board, very reminiscent of the Dignitas playstyle even before these lineup changes. They take a small advantage and they make it count. They pick up another advantage and then they just outnumber and outplay everyone in the right places. They are a very momentum-based team. One person does well, the rest of the team does well, and that's exactly what we can see in this game.
So I'm laughing at some of the comments in chat saying past the tower. Because its focus wasn't the greatest there if you're an SK fan, but yeah, as you're saying, complete role reversal here. And for any Dignitas UK doubters after that first game saying it was a stomp, they've came back swinging, and as we said, they are a momentum-based team. If they get ahead, they go for the jugular. They are relentless, ruthless predators, and we are seeing that again in this game. What I would say, even though SK Gaming are a long way behind, I feel like they have late game in terms of composition, in terms of characters. The question though, Paul, is can they get there? Because right now it's not looking likely.
Yeah, they do have very good wave clear in the form of Nasus. Like, literally, Spiritfire will clear an entire wave by itself. Any minions that are still straggling out there will be taken down by the rest of the team. Even Syndra is very good at wave clearing. But look at this early Baron coming out. They're gonna try and sneak it, but I'm pretty sure SK realize what's up, knowing that they have the Elise, but they're still strong enough to essentially have 3 of those players to go against this 5-man team, and they get the pick onto Nif.
They do. Shockwave has been burnt in. Paler's very low. Nitrix is very low. Can Svenskeri make a play? No, he can't, because Fiddlesticks pops out the bushes and terrifies. It's going to be a Baron and a 4 versus 5 situation, but with a few players low. Yeah, smart play from Dignitas. They don't want to force an engage. Better to go ahead and heal up. Better to wait a little while for that regen to kick in and then come back stronger.
That was such a good call from Dignitas, accelerating the game, knowing that, okay, now we have the item advantages, we've started to hit those big item spikes that we saw in the first game that SK had. Colin comes in to clear the minion wave, the exceptional call coming in from Candy Panda, but is only really delaying the inevitable. That middle tower is on very low HP, they could take this in the next minion wave, and indeed they will do with their Baroned up team.
Yes, it will. Freddy, Nif are trying to take the front lines. Crowstorm's coming out from Yero. He's going to catch on the AD carry of Candy Panda. Can they pick up the kill? Yes, they can. As Yero, the support, will take that one down. This could be the last engage. Scatter the Weak and the ultimate as well come out from Jez, who will pick up the return kill on Jax. Ace in the hole comes through and takes down the big dog. Nif not able to pick that one away and block it out. 4-for-1 trade, just the support of SK remaining in the form of Nif. He's not going to be able to stop this onslaught.
And had that been a team fight going that badly, SK could have said, well, they're low HP, we can come back in very shortly. But this time they've got the Baron, so now they'll be regenning regardless, pushing down this middle inhibitor turret, and might even pick up the inhib on top of that as well. They can take it very, very quickly. They have to be aware that top and bottom are pushing, but they still can recall those players. Jax is going to be respawning very quickly. They pick up the middle inhibitor.
They do. Absolutely brutal stuff from SK Gaming's perspective. And now Dignitas UK are going to be going back. And look at that gold tally right now, Pulse. Everybody, apart from Jax, who just went back to buy up, has over 1.4k in their back pocket. 2.5 thousand for Samwise. So it's going to be even more after this Dragon. They're going to be coming back to the fight with a few stacked up items. SK Gaming are in such a bad position right now.
Yeah, and after that inhibitor going down, all the other waves will be pushing in, and they can't afford to get caught.
Oh, Svenskeren's getting chunked down. The ex-Alchemist will pick up the pieces, and now chasing after Nif. Candy Panda in the bush. Jazz is here as well. Shockwave lands again. That should be all she wrote for Nif. We'll get the scat of the week. Nowhere near enough damage. 2 players fall already for SK Gaming. Could very well transition into 3 as Freddy and Candy Panda both being burst down. Freddy's trying his best to escape. He's so tanky, but it's nowhere near enough health. Nowhere near enough sustain. The ex-Alchemist picks up his 2nd kill in that short period of time.
And all the members of Dignitas still have their Baron. Oh, the cleanse comes in at the wrong time. The double kill comes in for Orianna.
Oh, brutal. Absolutely brutal. Watching Candy Panda there, he must be feeling pretty sad right about now. But they got to dust themselves down, Pulse. They took the first game in similar fashion. Dignitas UK bounced back. There is no reason why SK Gaming couldn't go ahead and win the 3rd game.
Yes, indeed, but for at least this game, SK are buckling. The GG is actually being called by Nif, and in response from Dignitas, we might very well see the FF come in. Indeed we do, yep. And the 2nd game goes to Dignitas UK.
Well, you've got to give them mad props. You've got to give them kudos here, Pulse, for bouncing back after that obliteration in Game 1 to take it into a 3rd. And it goes to show they're such an improved team. The ex-Alchemist, I've got to give him all the credit in the world here, Pulse. Since joining Dignitas UK, they seem to have took on a new breath of life. They seem to have accelerated into that next gear. Such good play.
Yes, indeed, and hopefully we'll see a more even game in the 3rd game. I think this is the 2nd time we've seen the game ending at 20 minutes, but we'll be back very shortly, guys, with the 3rd and final game of this matchup between Dignitas UK and SK Gaming.
Sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to grey, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking now. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking now. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe, and it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need. I know now we're getting older. The world we built is slipping through our fingers. We're running out of time. But you are the one I've chosen, and I won't lay still, living left behind, imprisoned by this love. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe. And it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need. And it's you that I wanna need. Enjoy the silence in the rain. When all my troubles wash away and bring me peace and still my pain, and have me live through another day.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back for the final time to Chaos TV's live coverage of day number 2 out of 3 for the EUS Challenger Series number 15. I'm Met is joined by Pulse, and we are soon to be live in that third picks and bans stage. Until then, though, Pulse, we're going to fill in a bit of time here and answer some more questions.
Yes, indeed. So if you have any questions, go ahead, join us in Twitch chat, make an account, and give us some questions, and we'll try and discuss them. It can be anything at all, as long as we can read it out on air.
Yeah, please try not to make it too curseful, if that's even a word.
Curseful.
I don't know. Curseful, do it. Good Englando, bro. I had to make it up after that ass engage from yesterday. It's all worth.
No one noticed apart from you. Would have been fine.
I'm pretty sure some people did, but they weren't bothered to type it in chat. But either way, as you can see, the next match was due to start 2 minutes ago, but this being League of Legends and the Challenger scene, could be a while before we're actually live. So we're going to try and to fill in some dead time. Thanks, chat. Saying curseful makes me feel a lot better. We should include that in the dictionary.
Should indeed. Okay.
Pass
Who
the
do you
tower.
think? Pass the tower. Who is going to win this game? Well, I said at the very start my prediction was Dignitas, but now it's 1-1, so it could go either way. Seems like blue side has been very helpful for both of these teams, since it was a stomp either way, or both ways, I should say. So, for this third game, Metas, who's your money on?
That for me is a really tough one because we've had two completely different games going into completely different sides. So it's almost like the complete opposites happening, games number 1 and 2. If you have just joined us, SK Gaming won game 1 very convincingly against Dignitas, and Dignitas UK brought it back for game 2. Going forward, I feel it's going to depend a lot on the bans here, Pulse. I can see Oriana being banned out from SK Gaming because the Ex-Alchemist, as we said before, landed so many shockwaves that turned the tides of that game. So I think Oriana is a must-ban champion here.
Yes, indeed. And it's funny because the new lineup of SK Gaming seems to, well, we haven't seen very much of it, but seems to have a very similar playstyle to Dignitas UK. Very centered around doing well in the early game, and if they do pick up those early game advantages, they snowball incredibly hard metas. We saw that in the first game, we saw it in the second game, and we also saw them buckle massively. In fact, our producer has just informed us we will be starting the game, and we will be jumping into Champion Select.
Awesome sauce. Well, just a quick disclaimer, guys. Last time we're going to have to say this tonight, I'm sure, but we are both